Welcome back to another video. My name is Stephen Foster, and today we are talking about this 50-year-old lens. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I've already made a video talking about this lens, the Canon FD 100mm. It's technically a macro lens, but it was originally made for Canon's film camera line back in the 70s. I decided to pull this lens back out and see, you know what, I tested this out for a little bit. What would it be like if I actually tried to spend a week with it? It's been a fun way to sort of look at photography in an old way. Everything that's old is new again. If you guys know my friend Noelle, she helps me out with a ton of stuff, and she was kind of the person that inspired me to play with this idea. You can go out there and get a film camera and spend a lot of money on film and developing film and going through that whole process. And you can try film emulations and spend hours like just putting those together in camera or out in Lightroom. But I realized there was this third way that I hadn't seen a lot of people approaching, which was taking a film lens or a lens that was made for film cameras and adapt it onto your digital mirrorless camera and see what can happen there. Here are the three things that I took away from my time with this lens on my camera. Because it's all manual focus, there are no pins on the adapter here. So there's no information being communicated from this lens back to your camera. There's no autofocus. You have to do all that yourself and look at the grid up here on the top and try to figure out how am I doing here, right? But I like that sort of imperfectness of it. And I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed taking photos at f5.6, even f8, f11. The tightest I went with this was f16 on some shots, and they looked great. I now don't remember which ones I was doing that with because that information's not sent over to Lightroom. So that's, I think I need to keep, where do my field notes go? I was really appreciative of that, I'm trying something different and I'm giving myself a lot more flexibility to kind of let it be more like horseshoes and hand grenades. You get it close and see what happens. If I don't have autofocus, that's fine, and I can compensate and get sort of a different looking shot with that tighter aperture. So that brings me to the second thing, which is I think a lot of us in digital photography like the wider apertures on our mirrorless cameras because they give us a softer look. But what's really cool about these film lenses is the dispersion element in it, or whatever it's using to finally assemble that image through the glass before it hits what would have been film, or in this case, our image sensor on our camera, is that dispersion element is not like L series glass today or G Master glass today. And so you get a softness from this. Even at f4, which is as wide as this lens can go, the entirety of the image sort of still has that character of softness that you wouldn't see in the otherwise razor sharp professional grade lenses, or even some of the sort of kit lenses that you can get on the Canon series stuff and Sony stuff as well. It's nice to not have to rely on your aperture to get that. It's nice that the elements in the lens are kind of giving you that dreamy, smooth photography that you would experience with a little bit of grain and haze and stuff, but it has character, I guess. It's the artistic way of saying it. Finally, the thing that I really took away from this, don't buy a focal length you would normally want to lean on. That 70 to 200 back there, that's the lens that gets the work out the most for me. So having a 100mm macro, which is not really what I specialize in or use or work with a ton, was actually a really nice breath of fresh air because it forced me to see the world in this different focal length than what I'm typically shooting in. 85, right, or 100mm, or maybe a 135 or something else that is not your standard go-to focal length to play with. Experiment and explore more when it comes to composing your images and how you think about depth and what you put together in those shots. So those were the three things that I took away from this. Not needing to be super precise, being able to drop down that aperture a little bit and explore that way, getting the softness not from the aperture, but being able to rely on that throughout the whole sort of focal length and range of anything I could do with the aperture, it's gonna still come out kind of soft because it's an old lens. And then finally, just having a focal length that is not necessarily something that I play with all the time. This was kind of fun to be somewhere in the middle and explore and experiment with that. But I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you exploring or experimenting with film? Are you trying out film emulations or presets, things like that? Or are you gonna pick up a film lens? They're very affordable if you can find them. I just wanna say thank you to everyone who has subscribed here. I am stoked and honored and always y'all are the best. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Be kind both in life and in the comments below, and like this video to send good vibes across the internet. And we will do it again very soon. I think very soon. Later.